Hello, my name is Quinn. These are the video games I played in January. The first game I played this month was... last month. First game I played in January was Ball X Pit. One thing I realized about myself in 2025 is that I love a roguelike. And if you don't know what that is, it's a game where you are... After looking into it, I think I actually prefer roguelites over roguelikes, but usually roguelites with a T are kind of called roguelikes. But if you want to get really specific, my preference would typically be a roguelite because they're a little bit less harsh. Roguelike is a game genre inspired by the game Rogue, where there is permadeath for the characters that you're playing as, and every time you start a new run, it's procedurally generated. So those are like the main fixed points of a roguelike, and then a roguelite with a T. I've seen it described as a more accessible version of a roguelike because there typically offers more overarching progression over each of these runs, which means that you can typically either carry over story between the runs or abilities that make it easier each run. There's things like that, as opposed to a roguelike where every run you're completely starting over with no help other than your knowledge from the previous runs. So I did realize that I really like a roguelite in 2025. We played a lot of them, and they just kind of scratch an itch that I didn't know that I had. So when Michael came to me and said, "Hey, do you want to play this Brick Breaker roguelike?" I said, "Yeah, please." I already had Game Pass for the month, so I picked it up and tried it out, and I haven't stopped playing it since. I wasn't sure at first, but just looking at it. I think that if Michael hadn't described it the way he did, and I didn't watch him play, I probably would have passed it over, because the art style isn't really something that I would have been interested in off the bat. It's a little muted, gritty, in a way that doesn't usually visually appeal to me. But I'm glad I tried it, because the gameplay itself is fantastic. So to play, you choose a character, you choose a level, and then you play through that area by shooting balls everywhere, as if you're playing Brick Breaker. But instead of one ball, you've got many, and some of them are special. Throughout the level, you gain experience, which lets you grab new equipment or even fuse and evolve your balls. In between each level, you're setting up a small settlement, and that's how you upgrade your abilities and characters, so that you make that overarching progress. I like how they implemented that settlement and upgrades in a way that let you still use the ball shooting mechanic. It just kind of made everything feel a little bit more connected. It's definitely challenging. I think at first I was overwhelmed, maybe is the right word, and I was focused on this idea of Brick Breaker, and I was like, okay, so I have to catch the balls. I have to catch the balls. And there are characters where that's more relevant, but I think that the most important thing to keep in mind when you're first playing the game is where they're going when you shoot them, and they'll come back when they come back. Just let them come back to you on their own time. They'll come back, don't worry. As you play, you kind of learn how to be mindful of how certain special balls complement each other and how each character would benefit from the different special balls. You're choosing the character in the level, but within the level, as you gain experience and you upgrade and gain new abilities, those are all random. So you get a choice between like 4 things. So you have some control, but not complete control. It adds to that randomness and makes you want to replay again and again. So this game really opens up about the halfway point when it lets you use 2 characters at once per run. It's insane. It makes everything very chaotic and very experimental, which I loved. It also made it easier to get certain achievements where you want to use each character on each level, for example. And I don't want to go too far into detail in the character abilities because I think discovering those is one of the best parts of the game for me. If this all sounds interesting, please play it. A new update just dropped with 2 new characters, and I'll probably be playing it after I record this. Power Wash 2 is the game I played the most when I was sick, because it was just easy to not have to use my brain too much and just let the water flow. I don't have a ton to say about it. I think if you played 1, you'll enjoy 2. I think if you have never played either, then I would start with 1 because 2 does have some minor conveniences that I think would maybe annoy you if you started with 2 and then went back in the series. The co-op works pretty well. I've been playing with Michael. We've had like no issues technically. I was one of the people whose Animal Crossing hyperfixation sleeper agent activated when the 3.0 update came out. I like to play it in the morning while I have coffee, so it's just kind of nice to get up, do my chores, have a cup of coffee with Brewster, check all the shops, and it's just fun. It's a good habit for me. So I generally like the game. I think it's kind of been talked about to death, because since it's like
5-6 years old.
But the 3.0 update specifically, which just came out, I can speak to. Oh, there he is. Bobby's gotta go pee. I like everything they added in the 3.0 update. It's kind of, it's more content, but it's definitely not infinite content. I like decorating, so the hotel is fun. I like DIYing now because they let you use materials from your storage at home, which is the biggest upgrade. Forget the hotel. The fact that you can DIY with materials from your house is keeping me playing that game today. It's insane that wasn't, like, I know why it wasn't a thing, and that the game is about small, tedious tasks, but that was a little much, if you ask me. I wasted so much money on tools. So on the one hand, I understand that this is a game for all ages, including kids. So for me to have gotten through all of the hotel content in like a week is probably not standard. I think it could be nice if it was a little bit slower, personally, just because the shop inventory at the hotel is limited. So I got everything I wanted out of it after a week, maybe 2. So I don't really have a reason to engage with it anymore, other than the Nook Miles that you get. I think if you didn't like New Horizons before, this update isn't going to change it. I don't think the minor conveniences that they added are going to fix the game in whatever way you didn't enjoy it before. But I think if you do like New Horizons and you might just not played for a while, I do think it's worth picking up again and either starting a new island or revisiting an old one. So a fun thing that my friends and I did this holiday season was Secret Santa, but specifically for Steam games that were under $5. I sent my friend this game. I received King of the Bridge, which I had never heard of, but I had a really good time with. It involves like a chess 3.0. It's created by this guy. He's added a bunch of new rules that completely change the game, and you have to learn these new rules as you play. It's kind of a roguelike in that way. You have to keep playing to learn all of the rules that he's added. And this is also that he'll let you past his bridge. He can cheat. If you pay close attention to him and catch him cheating, you're allowed to cheat too. So it's worth paying super close attention and learning the rules and making sure that the game's not going to let you know that he cheated. But if you call him out on it, you get to cheat on your turn as well, which is hugely beneficial. I really enjoyed this. I'm not a big chess person. I know the basic rules, like I know what the pieces do, but I don't know any of the strategy. For someone with that amount of knowledge, I had a really good time with it. It gets very complex, especially when you start going for achievements like your win without cheating and stuff like that. I haven't done it yet. I haven't won without cheating. This man is I was gonna say he's a master, but he's literally created his own rules and cheated his way through beating me. So I like the subtle storytelling through the notes on the bridge and in the rules book itself. I definitely recommend, especially for the price it is. If it sounds interesting, it's a really good game. Kabuto Park. It's also a pretty short game, not quite as short. It's got a little bit more going on. Very childlike aesthetic, which is fun. It's bright and colorful and everything's got kind of rough edges. And I think the aesthetic matches the tone and the content of the game very well. You play a game as a girl that I can't remember the name of, who's staying at Kabuto Park for the month of August, and all the kids there have a bug battle tournament over the course of the month. So the game involves going to various locations, catching bugs, and then creating a team so you can challenge other kids to bug battles. I enjoy creature collection games, so I was invested mostly because of that part. I saw that there was not a Pokédex, but you wanted to catch all of the bugs and all of the versions of the bugs, which made me invested off the bat. At the beginning of the game, I spent 70% of my time catching bugs, and then towards the end of the game I spent 70% of my time battling I would say. As you win battles, you get access to better equipment and new areas and new bugs. It was really fun and whimsical. It was really cool to have challengers in the tournament come back around. Like maybe on day 2 you fought someone who came back and you fought on day 15 or something. And they have maybe the same bugs but stronger. It made the world feel a little bit more dynamic in a way that I really liked. Like you were the only one that was there trying to get stronger and win. It was a very Gary situation. It's pretty simple mechanically the way the battles worked, but it still took me a minute to kind of figure out a strategy, I guess. Because in early fights, I would pretty much just use cards as they became available, like as they got off cooldown. And I was able to get through halfway through the tournament like that before I had to start slowing down and being more careful and intentional with the cards that I was picking. I tried to pick a pretty balanced team, and I used the same team the whole way through the game pretty much. So you get 3 bugs, and I tried to pick one that had a lot of each stat. As long as I kept their levels consistent with the levels of my challenger, which you can see before you start the fight, I had a pretty okay time. I did try to mix it up and use a team that had bugs with all of that were maxed out in one stat, and that didn't go as well. I don't recommend doing that. I mean, if you can make it work, then do it, but I had much easier time with like a balanced team. I never really got stuck and felt like I had to go catch more bugs, but that's because probably that I was catching a lot of bugs trying to fill out my little bug decks. Every time you catch a bug, you get a little bit of candy, and you can use those candies to level up your bugs. So I was never out of candy. I never had to buy candy, and my little guys were pretty much always on level. It's certainly not mindless. Like when I did switch my team to different bugs, I didn't bother to look at their cards ahead of time because I thought, how different could they be? And I lost immediately because I had no idea what I was doing. So it's definitely not a mindless game, even though it's simple. And I think that if I did play through it again with a different team, I would have a different experience. Like it would be different enough that I would do that again. Tilemancer Dungeon is a dungeon building roguelike where you need to get a character through a dungeon by placing tiles ahead of them and kill the boss to get to the next level of the dungeon. It sounds simple, and it is in a way, but you only have so many tiles available at a time, and it's very easy to run out or for you to place them in a way that kills your character. It's one of those things where it's easy to understand, but it's difficult to master. I still haven't beaten an entire dungeon, even though I have like 20 hours in the game. Is that accurate? Wait. That was just a vibes guess. I have 5 hours. I thought I had 20 hours in this game. I have no business complaining about having not beaten a dungeon. Okay. The overarching progression, there isn't much other than there being multiple characters, and you have to play through the game to get those characters. And there's some secret characters that you unlock. I've only found one secret character, so I only know one way to get them. I don't know if there's more. Playing with different characters does vastly change the way that you play. My favorite character right now is the Rogue, because you can use lures to get enemies to leave their squares, and sometimes they fight each other, and that makes me happy because then I don't have to risk my precious health on them. I think the only thing that I would ask for, I think mechanically it's very solid, and I wouldn't change anything mechanically about the game, but I think that it would be nice to have a little more visual variety, even if it was just like a color palette swap when you're on each floor, or maybe for different characters. There's not a lot visually indicating that you have made the progress you've made. I could be on the last level and it looks pretty much the same as the first level, which is okay. The game is about the system, and it's not really about crazy visuals. It's 8-bit. Not that 8-bit games can't be nice. I'm going on a tangent, but I just think it would be like a nice to have. If they ever, even if it was just like a palette swap, it would be cool. Hey, Michael. So we played Split Fiction together. Brief description of the game. A co-op game from the people who made It Takes Two.
Hazelight Studios has done It Takes Two, A Way Out, and Split Fiction.
Okay. So they specialize in co-op games in a way. The only one I haven't played is A Way Out. I was like, I'll play with someone other than you because you've already played it. But I think the people I know who haven't played it is dwindling. The number is dwindling.
I would play it with you if you wanted.
Okay. I'd be down. Maybe you could play the other character. I don't know how different it would be.
Yeah, I only barely remember which character I played.
So it's a co-op game where you have Mio and Zoe, who are writers, and they go into this machine that's intended to bring their stories to life. They end up getting merged. Well, they don't merge. They
End up in the same like pod.
yeah, they end up in the same orb, and they have to navigate each of their stories. Is there anything notable in the graphics or sound design that you would like to talk about?
I think it looks really good. I think I was skeptical at first because we tried it. We tried playing it on my gaming laptop on PC, and
Yeah.
it did not run super well.
Yeah.
But my gaming laptop is old, and it ran great on PlayStation 5 when we ended up trying it that way.
The voice acting was pretty good. I thought some of the dialogue was kind of cheesy, but ultimately, I ended up not caring as much as I thought I was going to in the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, I think like it's kind of a luxury that games get to enjoy. Like, you know, as long as it's fun and the story or the writing or whatever is like good enough to supplement like
Yeah.
the game, then I feel like it's okay. If it's
Yeah,
not, like,
yeah.
really, really high quality versus something like a movie or a book, you know what I mean, where like the writing is all of it.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Well,
true.
not all of it, but a much bigger component.
I don't think it was very buggy or anything like that.
No, I
Um,
don't think we encountered any bugs that I can think of.
yeah, it was pretty polished.
We played it super late.
Oh
So
yeah,
I
it
don't know.
came
Maybe
out
there
in
were
like
bugs and
May
they fixed
2025.
them. Yeah, March of
March
2025.
2025. So we played it last month, so any bugs that were there when it came out probably got patched by the time we played it. Most of the gameplay itself was a platformer, I would say. Like a 3D platformer.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty comfortable calling that it as a genre overall. It's a puzzle platform.
Puzzle platformer, thank you. I think this is kind of the same for It Takes Two. There's the meme about like playing either It Takes Two or Split Fiction with someone who doesn't play a lot of video games. We're fortunate in that we both play a decent amount of video games, so it was pretty intuitive for us. I think I'm trying to think about it in the sense of accessibility to it like to people who don't play a lot of games, because I feel like these games are pretty popular. You know, it's a fun way for two people, like maybe one who's into games and one isn't, to like share an experience. I think that having video game knowledge going into it is beneficial.
Yeah, certainly. I think part of the reason that there's a lot of like kind of memes and content around the game of like playing it with someone who doesn't play a lot of video games is because I think Hazelight, especially It Takes Two and Split Fiction, but really especially It Takes Two, I feel like it's like you said, the games are just really accessible.
Yeah.
Like I think as you know, for the two of us as people who like play a lot of video games, like it's one of our big hobbies.
We kind of
Um,
slammed it.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not very difficult.
Yeah.
Like like there were sections that were difficult or challenging, you know what I mean? But even then, it was like, okay, this might take us 3 tries instead of 1.
Yeah. And it was very
Um,
forgiving with the, you know, if your character died, you pretty much always got put back right where you were.
Yeah, there's frequent checkpoints. I think there's like a skip to the next section button. I don't recall
Oh,
that
I didn't
exactly,
notice
but I
that,
think
but that's cool.
there is something like that. At least in Split Fiction.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I just think they're really good. Like you can have the narrative experience. The pressure is relatively light.
Yes.
I feel like a
agree.
lot of the challenges in the game are like, just take your time and jump from this box to the other box or something. Like it's not.
Yeah. And I think the really tricky parts, like I think one of the things that we had, maybe one of the harder, like took us more tries, is like boss battles. And I think that that's something where if you have one person who's maybe played more games, you don't have to each do an equal amount of like damage to the boss. One person can really go at him and the other person can, if the other person is struggling, you can still complete it. It's not gonna hold you back a crazy amount, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I was gonna say in that kind of same vein of like in almost every, I can't think of a single place where this wasn't true. You needed to both die to like reset. So like as long
Yes.
as one person was alive, you could come back and try again.
Would you say it was innovative?
Yeah, I think so. I think that they came up with I think they came up with interesting ideas. Like there was nothing where I was like, oh my gosh, this is a whole new, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I consistently throughout Split Fiction was like, oh, that's clever. Like that's an interesting, mechanic to throw at us.
Yes, I agree.
Um, and I think this genre of game has to, because they do this, they do the thing, but It Takes Two did this as well, where like the air quotes gimmick keeps changing, so
Yeah.
you're constantly being exposed to new mechanics. So it pays to keep them interesting. And
I had a good time throughout the whole thing, but the last level was pretty wow to me. And it seemed like to
Mhm.
you as well.
You can cut out me being confused and just cut to me saying, "Yeah, that was really cool."
Yeah. Would you replay the game as the other character?
Yeah, I think so. I think that they a lo- I would say like 40% of the game is pretty much the same regardless of what character you play.
Hmm.
Maybe more. But yeah, I mean, I felt like their mechanics were noticeably different. We had a lot of levels where we were like, okay, well, one of us is actually doing something active, and the other is their ability is a little bit more passive. I
Yeah.
think it would be cool to play through it again with the other side. I don't think I'd be like in a rush to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair. We did
Um,
just play.
but yeah, I mean, I think if like in a couple years, if I was really itching for like a co-op experience,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
for some reason Split Fiction just came back into my like mind space, yeah, I would play it again.
Is there anything you would change?
I don't have any specific comments. At least I don't like.
I have one,
We kind of touched on like the writing. I think could have been a little bit better, but
but it definitely like served its purpose and fit the tone, maybe.
yeah, I think the story accomplished what it needed to.
Yeah.
But like I said, it didn't really blow me away, and specifically like it was less about like the story, like the plot.
Mhm.
Some of the character interactions just felt I don't know, kind of abrupt. Just between like between sources of conflict and like character mood, just felt kind of unnatural at times.
Do you have any specific advice on how to enjoy the game if you played it?
I would say play it with the right person. I think that's the most important thing. I think that the game, I think if you play it, like you're gonna play it right in air quotes. You know what
Mhm.
I mean? Like, I don't think there's, I think it's up to each person. Like if they want to engage with the side stories, which I recommend because they're really cool. And then of course, if you're playing the game, you're gonna play through the main part of the game. But yeah, I think that the most important thing to having a good experience is play it with the right person. Like, and what that means is gonna change from person to person too.
Mhm.
Like, but I think play it with someone who you're gonna have fun messing around with and making mistakes with, and um,
Yes.
I think that's the biggest thing.
So it didn't change your mind about wanting to marry me.
No.
Okay. Oh, Michael was Mio and I was Zoe. I would change the fact there's that one point where there was a toilet and then there was like a transition and then there was no toilet.
Yeah. I forgot about that. But that
I
was
will
funny.
never forget. Did we eat it? Like,
It was cake, Quinn.
would you say that It Takes Two made you more likely to want another dog?
Uh, no.
Okay. Is there anything you would like to promote? Like maybe even if it's not a personal thing, like maybe like a Twitch channel or like a Twitch channel or like someone you know's Twitch channel.
No, I don't think so. I can't think of anything.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna free you from your bonds.
Okay.
That's actually it. That's the last game that I had. Let me know what games you played in January because I need games to play for February. Subscribe.